NBA tip-off, Tuesday edition, Tuesday, September 8th, and we are live as we are every Monday through Friday right here on WagerTalk TV at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, as we talk more NBA playoff action. I'm your host, Steve Merrill, and I'm joined by Teddy Covers, Tony Finn. We're all found at WagerTalk.com. Teddy is also at SportsMemo.com as well. Teddy, I'll throw it to you. Enjoyed doing Wager Talk today with you and Prez earlier today. Ski was on as well, by the way. He covered the NBA, so I was told to do baseball and football, and I did that. So I'm looking forward to a little NBA talk with you, Teddy. How was your Monday overall, and what were your takeaway of the NBA games, more importantly?
Well, I only had one play yesterday, one official play. I had a free, but it was good. I had the Celtics. The refs weren't calling fouls, and that definitely benefited Boston. The Toronto was out of sync offensively from the get-go, and it didn't get a whole lot better. You like them when they're nice and easy like that. I also had a free play on the Nuggets Clippers under. Never in doubt. We get there by a bucket. But the way I've been running in the NBA, the leans have been good, the plays have been good, the sort of opinions have been good. So I'm trying to throw every opinion I have out there out right now, so that guys can bet it. So overall, a good night. And let's give Denver. Do we give Denver credit, or do we give the Clips concerns? Because last night was supposed to be the game where the Clips came with max intensity, and they didn't. And the Nuggets, the post-game comments from Denver were all, we let this one slip away. We should have won this game too. Even though Denver lost, I think they gained a measure of confidence last night they might not have had coming into that game. And the Clips, we keep saying, all right, flip the switch. Haven't seen this switch flipped in this series. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at that, Teddy. It's like the Clippers are still good enough to win these games, even though they're not like really playing up to their level. Or there's also like you said, the bigger concerns, they haven't played up to their level yet. And we are in a new world with the bubble. And keep in mind, Milwaukee was the team that started that 3-day shutdown. They haven't shown up really for the most part since. The Lakers and the Clippers were the other two that were rumored to want to go home during that 3-day shutdown. And we've seen the Lakers kind of up and down. We've seen the Clippers a little bit up and down as well. I have a feeling, though, they'll play to their level of intensity, and they'll still be meeting in the conference finals in a week or so. Hey, before I get to you, Tony, I'm going to throw you up with Teddy by bringing in our other two usual suspects. I just want to get you next to Teddy Covers as soon as I could, or that top row there. Rob Vino, Ski Profit, also from WagerTalk.com. Tony, though, let me throw it to you. What are your thoughts on the Clippers overall? They obviously were a little slow out of the gate, but got it done down the stretch in the fourth quarter, outscoring them by 10 and winning by 6.
I will say this. I wrote my write-ups, my game analysis are lengthy, and I get a lot of complaints from some people about that, not clients necessarily, but other people. And I wrote that I thought this game, I thought I wrote it up, and I thought this game played out almost perfectly, exactly like I thought. With Teddy a little bit, what he said, I expected the Clippers to be methodical. They're a better team. They can play average and beat Denver if they defend. Now, I didn't think they did a very good job defending it. And in truth, guys, I thought they took some contested shots that they didn't have to take, especially Kawhi. If you watch the tape of the game and you paid attention to that variable independently, then you would have seen some of the same things I did. I was concerned a little bit about that, but I as Teddy said, he believed maybe Denver, some of the players may have been energized or at least gained some confidence at the end of that game. The end game being the Clippers win, Denver loses. But my take on my write-up and my analysis was that this is going to be a game where Denver's probably going to think they're in the whole time. They're going to get to the fourth quarter, and the Clippers are going to do what the Clippers are capable of doing from the first quarter on. And in my opinion, if I'm a Denver player, I feel exactly the opposite. Maybe that's why I'm not a professional basketball player. That and I can't jump. But I would think that this is the same old song and dance. Denver saying, geez, we were in this game. We played our hearts out, and we don't come out on top on this game. How? And I think it's demoralizing to a degree. I like the Clippers moving forward. I think that they get more and more intense. I think you're going to see more and more energy. Because, and again, I think better shot selection, guys. I truthfully, and I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but I just thought the Clippers It's really important. I think it's real important to take good shots. Okay, you don't have to. It's not about how many shots you make or how many shots you miss. But if you don't take good shots, it's tough to win games. And I thought they did a poor job of that last night.
Yeah, Rob Vino, how was your Monday overall? What were your thoughts on either or both games? Celtics wire to wire, never trailed as a 1.5 point favorite. It's one of those in hindsight, like Teddy was talking about. We all talked about how we thought they're the better team of the series. They had the 3 best players on the court at any given time. They're off back-to-back losses. And I talked myself out of using it as a best bet as well. And it was one of those games where I was rooting for Toronto to win by 30 because of that. But it really played out like I thought it would, and I should have known better. Rob, what were your thoughts on that, and Clippers as well?
Well, the plays went good for me, 2-0. Snuck by that 219.5 number. Excuse me, guys. With the 220 final there. That's, you talk often, guys, everybody next to me and above me about the benefit of buying long-term packages. If you're a long-term client, you wind up
I'm going to go see
on there.
That was cool.
He wasn't ready for prime time, guys. I figured out how to put everyone on the big screen. I didn't do it to Teddy yet. He's going to get his turn coming up. But Rob wasn't ready for prime time. He wasn't ready for the exclusive close-up on the tip-off.
Being called upon.
He saw his shadow and it scared him.
Multiple things at once here. Yeah, real quick, guys. Like I say, the night went 2-0. Boston was easy. They played great defense against Toronto. They got off quickly. They were never in trouble. The 219.5, I was saying that the benefit to being a long-term client is you get the plays immediately as we release them instead of coming in, 20 minutes before the game starts and maybe not getting the win last night. Both of those go well. I'll say this, too. I heard Teddy saying that, you can't flip the switch. I agree with him that, the Clippers haven't really flipped the switch yet. But, again, I'm going to repeat what I've said the last couple of Clipper games. They turn on the defense when they have to. And when they had to play defense last night in the fourth quarter, they allowed 19 points, plain and simple. They're not necessarily playing a full 48 minutes consistently in these playoffs. But when they have to do it, we saw them hold Denver to a 38-point second half 2 games ago, and then 19 points in the fourth quarter here last night. So the Clippers are just picking and choosing when they want to shut Denver down. And it's come to that for them because they get themselves in trouble. They should try playing the full 48.
Yeah, I mean, Ski, I'm going to bring you in. What were your thoughts on the 2 games, and do you think that was the Nuggets' chance? I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. They've shown they can play with the Clippers the last 2 games, but they also are still down 2-1 in the series, and they probably realize, Ski, that they have a pretty big, up-road battle from here on.
Yeah, I think I agree the most with Tony that it was pretty demoralizing. I mean, they were winning for a good portion of the game, right? And then they gave it up at the end. So I don't think they do much better than that game for the rest of the series. I would be looking at the Clippers and the Raptors and Celtics. I was surprised to see the Raptors get blown out the way they did. I thought it would at least be a close game. We'll see how these next couple games pan out.
Yeah, normally, guys, you take the defending world champs, a Class A team, one of the best defensive teams, off a blowout loss in the playoffs. You've made a lot of money over the last few decades. But the question becomes, do they have anything left for Game 6? We, of course, will delve more into that game as well as the Clippers and Nuggets Game 4. I mean, this is so confusing to me. The Raptors and Celtics play Game 6 tomorrow, and the Lakers and Rockets haven't even played Game 3 yet. It's just the NBA always does that, but it seems like it's really amplified this year. Teddy, let's start tonight's games. Let's go ahead and get right into them. We'll spend a little bit more time on these games tomorrow, of course. But we got 2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow. According to the betting odds, Teddy, we will probably have one of these series done tonight, and that will be, of course, the Heat-Bucks series. Heat right now about a 4 to 4.5 point favorite. The big elephant in the room, of course, is the status of the Greek. Teddy covers. What are you seeing as of now? Is he still game time decision?
The official word is questionable. One would expect to hear something in the half hour before tip-off. Now, this happened the other night, and it went from Miami -2.5 to Milwaukee -2. It was about a 4.5 point move. Based on the Giannis injury situation, the markets had priced him as out, and then they priced him as in. The money poured in on the Bucks. I would not be surprised to see that happen tonight as well. This is a Giannis's outline. And if Giannis ends up playing for Milwaukee, I think that we will see a fair bit of Bucks money between now and tip-off. when it comes to the matchup itself, look, the quotes from Miami after game 4, I should say, were angry quotes. We gave this to them. We didn't do what we needed to do. We played like we were up 3-0. We didn't get the loose balls. We didn't get the 50-50 balls. Our effort wasn't there. There was a lot of they were pointing all the fingers at themselves, which generally we like when teams do that. They have the appropriate mindset coming in. All that said, things get interesting if Miami doesn't win this one, and Giannis said after the Bucks went down 3-0, we're going to try to be the first team to win 4 in a row. They won the first. And if they win the second, now all of a sudden the pressure differential changes a fair bit. And now all of a sudden Miami's got to win, and all of a sudden it's a game 7 spot. So from a pressure standpoint, I expect both teams to play loose and free this evening. That may benefit over bettors. At the same time, I do like Miami's mentality, and the quotes from the Heat were bet-on quotes, in my opinion, following that Game 4 loss.
Yeah, Tony, it was interesting. I put on Twitter before the games on Saturday, I went ahead and did the true odds for each series the way they were, and what jumped out to me was that the Clippers up 1-0 had a 97% chance, according to the betting odds, of winning that series against the Nuggets. The Heat up 3-0 had only a 92% chance. They were 1-15, take back 10-1 on the Bucks. And not often do you see a team up 3-0 and they're only a 1-15 favorite still. But that, of course, is because the Bucks had the best record in the league the last 2 years combined, and they were the 1 seed. The Greek goes out and they win the game. He's in the first 3 games full and they don't win. I know we've had a lot of discussions the last few days, how much of a superstar he is, but I don't know. What's your take on this, Tony? How do you handicap that without one of the best players in the league being a game-time decision, as Teddy said?
Before I comment on this, there's a couple things I want to throw in real quickly, and that is the Clippers, as Rob mentioned. Well, Clippers, first off, do you see how the Clippers closed out the first half of that game? It was the worst 3 minutes of basketball I've seen Denver play. Or they outscored them 10 points, 10-0, or 12-4, whatever it was, to make it a close at halftime. Rather than being double digits down, they closed at halftime, and they hung around. And in the Toronto game, I don't know about you guys if you watched that game, and I'm sure you did. Toronto didn't look like they weren't going after loose balls like the Toronto teams. They weren't diving. Lowry. I mean, I'm telling you, I was shocked to watch them casually go after 50-50 balls. And you're not gonna beat Boston. You're not gonna beat this Boston team at their worst if you don't do that. This game, would you agree, Teddy, that or you guys, would you agree that I've seen this go a 1.5 this morning towards Miami? Unless it's not sharp money, I can't believe the public money would be playing this game to that number this early, but maybe they are. It would tell me that Giannis probably isn't going to play. Is he going to play? I saw it this last night and this morning at -1.5 or 2, and now it's at 4. Is that?
Yeah, it was 2.5 last night. So, and that's not public money. That's wise guy money. It came overnight. Though some of that might have been a reaction to all the minutes that the Bucks played, because it's not just Giannis being out. Yep. Middleton hadn't played more than 40 all year. He played 48. Brook Lopez had a season high in minutes. Eric Bledsoe had a season high in minutes. So the fact that they played that OT game shorthanded may have been a factor in this line move as well.
Absolutely true. And you just laid out why I could only play Miami here, and that is, and I'd wait if what happens the other night happens where Miami ends up getting points, Teddy, like you described. I don't know that this game, if they announced Giannis is out, how much, since they won without Giannis, essentially, how much higher does it go than -4? You know what I mean? So are you better off if you want to back Miami, I think you're better off waiting to see what happens. Maybe this goes back to -1 if they announce that the Greek's going to play. And this, I'm still all about, this is Miami or I pass on the game. That's my opinion on this.
Tony, you're a big in-game wager guy. Actually, I'll throw it to you, Rob. You're a big in-game wager guy too. Rob, I mean, is this maybe one that's better to take a wait-and-see approach? I'm personally staying away from this game now. I don't like uncertainty. And as we've talked about over the years, the one edge you have as a bettor is they have to put a number on every game, or at least attempt to put a number on every game. You don't have to play it, or you can pick your spots. As Teddy said the other day, a first half, an over-under, a side, a money line, an in-game. And that's what I'm thinking here. The other thing I'll point out too, Rob, is that, a lot of times teams get a bump when their superstars out in that first game. Maybe game 4 was that bump, even though it happened mid-game. Now the Heat have had time to prepare and to shut maybe Middleton down, as one of our viewers just said. They're going to try to desperately run it through him. What's your big picture thought? Can you handicap this game right now with all that uncertainty 3 hours before game time?
Yeah, I like your last point the best, Steve. That one game in-game bump that they got, Chris Middleton going crazy for 36 points and taking over in most sports. Generally, the next game, if that guy has to step up and be the guy again, it doesn't happen. So without Giannis, I think Miami would be a clear-cut choice for me. It's just interesting that while the line has gone up towards Miami, so has the total. Giannis, may be out, but the total gets higher. I don't know if that's a reaction toward less defense on the Bucks side. We've seen the Bucks be able to score throughout the season without Giannis, so I think they can do that. But just an interesting dynamic that Giannis seemingly out here. Although Milwaukee guys is remaining optimistic that he's going to play. So I think you might have to wait until game time to see here. I just don't think that without him, Chris Middleton has as big a game as he had last time. I don't think there's enough surrounding parts to help. That would put me on the Miami side. I don't think I could get to the over, though. Total, I'd have to leave alone.
Ski, let me ask you this. Speaking of the total, obviously the Greek is a great defensive player. He's also an offensive guy, but he's also a very good defensive guy. My guess is if he plays or not, he is not 100%. He had a boot on 2 days ago. And ankle sprains, ankle injuries do not heal within 1 day, no matter what you do. You can inject him, you try to get the swelling down. I think that could hurt his defense more than anything. So the question becomes, if he doesn't play, does Milwaukee have enough offense to push it to the over? Rob mentioned the total moving around a bit. It's actually moved a bit higher. It was as low as 216 yesterday. Now it's 218.5. So there's actually been money on the over. I don't know if that's because they think he might play, but what do you think, Ski? Do you think there's a secondary chance there that it actually might be more scoring because his defense isn't as good?
I think that the total is too low regardless if he plays or not. I think that if he plays, the one thing that you expect from Giannis, in my opinion, is pace. I think he pushes the ball up the court and he's going to get shots at the rim early is what he's looking for. So without him, how are they going to score? I think the floor is more space. I think you get more open shots and more room to operate. So that's the way that I look at it. And when I look at the Bucks in general, total less than 231 without Giannis, and they have rest. The over is 4-1. So I think they can get over the mark there. And as far as the spread, I think I agree with Tony Finn. He said he's on the Heat. He would only be on the Heat. So with plus 4.5, I think that's a bit too much. I think it could be a close game. And if Giannis is announced in and it goes back down closer to pick him, then yeah, I would be interested in the Heat. But as it stands right now, I would not be laying the 4.5 with the Heat.
Teddy, what do you think? I know it's not always the accurate number, but what do you think the market number is if you know for certainty 100% he's healthy and 100% he's out right now? Do you think, is it 2 and then 6? Is 4 the middle? Is this shady more that he's not playing, Teddy? What would you make the true numbers with each scenario?
So let's not forget that my my numbers have been off the whole series compared to the market.
Sure.
And that served me well. We've cashed 3 bets on Miami. 2 of them were big tickets. So I don't know that I'm necessarily the right person to ask because I've got the Heat favored by 1 with Giannis playing, and I would think he's worth 4.5, 5, probably maybe 4.5 in that range. So maybe Miami -5 without Giannis. But what my numbers are and the market reaction are not always the same and not necessarily often the same. The markets tend to knee-jerk when it comes to player in or out information. And there's groups of bettors that will literally, Giannis is in, boom, the bet's come in on the Bucks, they don't even think about it. Giannis out, boom, the bet's come in on the Heat, they don't even think about it, just expecting the market to move. It's not even an opinion. They just think the markets are going to move and they want to get into the best of the number. They can decide what to do with it afterwards. So it's not a situation where I'm confident that my numbers will mirror the market numbers. I don't know exactly how the market's going to react here. I don't want to pretend that I do.
Yeah, Tony, I mean, once again, what were the Bucks? 5-point favorites in game 1 and 2, I guess. And then now it's a 4-point dog. So you're talking about, you take out Pick'em, it's an 8-point move technically. But pretty substantial and pretty amazing. Just general thoughts on what you think he is worth. And then also, Tony, the first half is interesting here. It's minus 209, game 4, 218. So basically identical first, second half numbers, which is something we don't see too often in these games.
No, we've seen more of that during this bubble than I can recall either. But you seem to have pointed that out to me too. So a lot of times it's not something I look at. It's just not anything I look at. It does not a big variable in what I do and how I assess games. But I agree with Teddy in this game. I think Giannis, he's worth 3.5 market wise, 4 points maybe. I have to agree with Teddy as well. My numbers for this series have always had a lean towards Miami, especially when they were getting 5 points. And as I mentioned here, I'll wait until whatever the announcement may be. I can't imagine this going much higher, but Teddy's also right. Just a quick story is I have a wife who, listen, she works in an environment and she pays a lot of attention to sports gamblers, and that's where she works at. And she's always amazed at how she thinks intelligent, smart sports people overreact to. They wait around the bar until one player's announced out. And they all bum rush the counter to get that team, the opposite team, with the players out. And in many cases, overpaying for a player that's not worth a point or two. It's funny, and Teddy's right. In those situations, I love to see the overreaction. And in this case, we're going to find out if they overreact. Again, I'm going to wait until game time. And I'd like to get Miami at 1 or less. I don't know if I'm going to get that. Probably won't. But I'll wait and see.
I think in this situation, guys, as I said earlier, my personal opinion is if he plays or not, there is no way he is 100%. I think personally, I think that's a safe bet. I just don't think a guy goes from a walking boot 48 hours earlier to being 100%. So I think there's even more value, as you said, of that. If they say he's going to play, even if he's 50%, the line still drops down to 1 probably or 2, and it's a different ball game. Rob, just a couple quick thoughts on this. Maybe if any play-on-play. I know it's tough once again not knowing his status, but maybe any Miami players. One thing, thinking of Butler, when I think of Tony, I think of Butler. He's alternated good high-scoring, low-scoring games again. He had, I think, only 17 in Game 4. If that's the case, Rob, does he break out again here in Game 5 like he did in 1 and 3?
Yeah, I would think the best player, prop Steve, is, using your theory that Giannis can't be 100% even if he plays. Play Giannis points under. He had 19 last game. You see him on the floor, you play him under. And that should be pretty good. He might be more of a facilitator than a scorer in this game. So maybe Giannis points under is worth a look here tonight for sure.
That's a good point, by the way.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
All he has to do is score once, right?
Exactly right. Because as you guys know, usually the stipulation is he must play. So if he's out there for 1 minute, you've got under 19 and a half. If he doesn't play again, it cashes. If he plays no minutes, it's a push. Teddy, I saw you chomping at the bit there, though, when I brought up Jimmy Butler. So I want to get your thoughts before I throw it to Ski.
So I thought Jimmy Butler played a brilliant game in Game 2. All right, Game 1, they needed him to score. Game 2, they didn't. They had a bunch of other shooters, and Jimmy Butler made sure that those other shooters got the ball. I thought he was better in Game 2. I shouldn't say better, because Game 1, he hit all those clutch shots down the stretch. But he was every bit as good in the game where he didn't provide the offense, the scoring punch, as the game where he did. Now, Game 4, Butler wasn't as good, okay? But when we see Jimmy Butler bounce back, it's not necessarily what we're going to see in terms of his point total numbers. It can easily be his distribution numbers. It can easily be his rebounding numbers or his defensive numbers, which would make me not necessarily inclined to say Butler's my bet-on guy tonight. Certainly not for points. Maybe points, rebounds, assists I'd be more interested in than points alone, because we've seen him play very well, even though he hasn't been the primary scorer in every game.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not seeing, at least at one sharp offshore book, I'm not seeing any props on the Greek right now, not surprisingly. So, Rob, like you said, they probably won't pop up until he's listed as likely to play, because he's going to game time decision. But I still like where you're going with that, Rob, and I think if it's anywhere near a normal number, I'd be looking at the under as well. Ski, what are your thoughts on the game overall? And actually, go ahead, Rob. While we're on that point still.
I just want to say real quick to Teddy's point, the 2 games where Jimmy Butler went crazy scoring points, 40 and 36, it shows up in his aggressiveness. He's to the free throw line 19 times in one of those games. And the other game, he's to the free throw line 12 of 13. So when he wants to be aggressive, he's going to get to the free throw line, and those easy scores add to his point total. He's kind of been a seesaw type player, high scoring,
Right.
back down, high scoring, back down. Maybe this is, the high scoring game again. Maybe he gets aggressive to try and put this thing away.
Yeah, and that's exactly what jumped out to me as well, Rob, is that it's kind of been a zigzag on the scoring front. And I think a guy like Butler, it's not a coincidence. He's a guy that he's okay having one low-scoring game, but then his pride takes over for the next game. He wants to get his points. But as Teddy said, I thoroughly agree, Teddy. I think a lot of times these teams are better off when a guy doesn't score a ton. You look at Kobe putting up 60 and 70 during his career. The Lakers probably a ski way. No, they lost some of those games. Jordan put up over 60. They'd lose games. Mitchell had over 50 in that first playoff game. They should have won, but the Jazz still lost that game. It's not a good sign when one guy has to do all the heavy lifting in the NBA. You want 2 or 3 guys that can score. Ski, if the Greek is out tonight, who else can score from Milwaukee? Middleton at 36, as we touched upon. His over-under right now is 25.5 to the over. He still might get there by default, even if they try to shut him down, because, if the Greek isn't out there, he's just going to get a lot more shots. But are there any secondary players, Ski, from Milwaukee that you think could be maybe some sneaky overs, if the Greek doesn't play? Of course, the problem is if he does play, then it throws off the whole handicap. But just what are some general thoughts on these role players tonight from Milwaukee, Ski?
Yeah, if he doesn't play, I mean, it's not one of the props that I like the most. But if I have to pick one for Milwaukee, I might see what Bledsoe's assist total is, because if the floor is spread for Milwaukee, he's the one guy I can see handling the ball and maybe passing it out. But I would look more towards Miami side. I like what Teddy said. Butler's assist total is at 4.5. I could see him surpassing that. I would have to look at Dragic. He's averaging about 5 assists per game in the series. His assist total is at 4.5, and maybe his point total also at 19.5.
Yeah, and Bledsoe, by the way, I'm seeing his at 5.5 to the under, under minus 145 on the assist, and his turnovers 2.5 to the over minus 185, and total points for Bledsoe 14.5, 5.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. So I'm sorry, 5.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds. So once again, this is the 6:30 Eastern game, guys. We're doing this one 3 hours before it tips, so we're probably about another 2.5 hours away from knowing anything on the Greek. But some great information here. Let's move on to the game we do know more about. And I'll start with you, Teddy. It's the night game, Rockets-Lakers. Before we get to this, though, once a reminder, it's $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com and also SportsMemo.com. Select cappers at both sites get their best bets for just $2. Best bets are anywhere from 25 to 40 normally. So I know some of you in the chat, you're not big-time players yet. You're $25, $50 players. We've always said you probably should be playing at least 100 or more to buy, daily picks or even the subscription. $2 Tuesday is a great way to get your feet wet and start building your bankroll. And also there's free plays, and I always want to mention that because I've been trying to put a free play up each and every day. I've been on Wager Talk now for over a month. I think I've put a free play up every single day. It's something I've made a commitment to doing in 2020. And that also is to help build people's bankrolls. Teddy, Tony, Rob, Ski, we all put free plays up at WagerTalk.com. Teddy also on SportsMemo.com. Once again, $2 Tuesday, WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com. Best bets and free plays as well. Teddy, Game 3. We just talked about Game 5. We gave a little look ahead to Game 6 tomorrow between the Raptors and Celtics. Now we'll go back in time and we'll go to Game 3 of a series with the Lakers and Rockets. Lowest spread of the series so far. Lakers only a 4.5-point favorite here. Once again, Teddy, which Laker team shows up? The one that had, the huge lead in the first half and was trailing after the third quarter and then ended up winning and covering by a basket. Which Laker team shows up in your opinion on this one?
I don't know, and I didn't bet the game as a result. I know this. There are 2 things in this series that have surprised me. One is the complete inability of anyone on the Lakers other than Anthony Davis and LeBron James to step up. The supporting cast has been non-championship worthy. Let's just put it that way. And one would think that at some point in this series, someone who's not named LeBron or Anthony is going to have a big game for LA. That's been the case for that team all year. They found contributors. Hasn't been the case so far in this series. Really hasn't been the case that much in the bubble. But I continue to think, one of these nights the Lakers 3-point shooters are going to hit some shots consistently. Hasn't happened yet in this series. The other thing that hasn't happened yet in this series, and really, again, this dates back to the beginning of the bubble, certainly the beginning of the playoffs. Russell Westbrook stinks right now. Okay. I mean, he's not Westbrook single-handedly gave me the cover the other day, and I thank him for it. I'll send him a Christmas card. But to see Westbrook, jacking up uncontested threes and shooting air balls and getting into the paint and not creating the contact and getting to the free throw line, he's just out of sync. And to see all the Rockets support with one of their big two playing as poorly as he is, at least the Lakers' big two are playing well. Rockets aren't getting that from their big two, and that is certainly a concern for me for Houston tonight. But it's not a game I'm involved with. I mean, I love the Lakers from the bounce back spot in game two. I felt very relieved to get the win and cover for myself and the clients in that game, and wasn't in a rush to jump back on LA for game three. Like I said, no action for me, side or total on this one.
Yeah, I don't like to live and die with the roller coaster watching these games. They drive me crazy personally. I just do it to get information. But those that a lot of bettors out there, as we know, do it for the daily adrenaline rush, and they got their money's worth in game two with the Lakers there. Easy money in the bank, and then it's a loss, and then it's a win, and then the Rockets dribbled up with 5 seconds to go, down by 6, and they don't take a shot. And I'm watching then, I'm like, so basically your 2.5 hours of entertainment comes down to 5 seconds if they want to haul up a three or not. Hey, Tony, I'm in agreement with Teddy on Westbrook. We talked about this the other week, when he was coming back to the lineup. We all basically agreed that it was a negative more than a positive for Houston. And I saw him bank in a couple shots. I'm not even sure he meant to bank in that one from like the elbow in the game too. And you can have him, in my opinion.
I'm laughing because I knew Teddy's going to bring him up. I'm just sitting here. He's 2 points. First one, I'm just sitting there saying, well, if he doesn't bring up Westbrook, I sure as hell am. And that is when they traded Capella, when this team traded Capella, they were depending on Westbrook. And guess what? After they traded Capella during the regular season, before we went dark, Westbrook averaged 31 points a game. 31, I don't know what his numbers, 31, 8, and 6 or something like that. And they need that from him to beat even an average Lakers team. They have got to get more from Westbrook. So this is the deal. I guess if I'm D'Antoni, I say, listen, you need to take your go-go juice before the game. And if I'm Vogel, I'm saying I want Westbrook on his ass for the first quarter. Every time you get a chance, be physical with him, and we can't lose. That's if someone would tell me Vogel is going to blitz Westbrook, be physical with Westbrook, frustrate him, so he's more interested in talking to the cardboard figures in the stands than he is playing basketball, I'm all in on the Lakers, and I'm in big. But I don't have Vogel's number. Anybody got it?
Rob Vino, you might have Vogel's number. He's out there in that area. But Rob, bigger question for me is it warranted that the Lakers are now the smallest favorite in the series? I mean, basically the odds makers or the betting public, however you want to look at it, they're factoring in a Rockets bounce back. Do you see a Rockets bounce back here, Rob Vino?
Well, to Teddy's point about power ratings earlier, my power ratings have shown every favorite throughout these playoffs to be overblown to begin with. And now all of a sudden, this is the first one that isn't. The Lakers show up as a 5-point favorite power ratings wise for me. Now they're 4.5. So the favorite is now, a little bit of shade of value there. Also to the point of nobody on LA's supporting cast stepping up. Listen, Houston employed, and they even said it on air the other night, the Lou Dort strategy to Rajon Rondo. Take the ball, go ahead and shoot it. We'll let you shoot it as much as you want. He's 3 of 10 from 3. He doesn't get to the free throw line. I think overall right now, if we combine 3 of 9 and 4 of 97 of 16 from the field. So they're going to live with most of those guys shooting the ball from distance. Kyle Kuzma's minutes got diminished all the way down to 20 the other night. They just haven't had anybody. Now, Morris stepped up and made some threes. But, the previous game, he scored no points. There's no consistency, and there really hasn't been any consistency offensively out of that bench for the majority of these playoffs. But I will say this. When the Lakers as a team shoot it well, and as a team, it usually means Davis and James, they play better. I mean, the first game they shot lousy, they lost. The second game they shot well, they won. It really is as simple as that with this team. If they can shoot the basketball, and you can guess as much as you want which night you think they're going to shoot it well, but the other night they did enough from 3-point range, 44%. If the Lakers shoot that, they're going to win. But it's hard for me to guess when they're going to shoot, when they're not going to shoot. Against Portland, it was a little easier, especially as they got decimated by injuries. You could tell the Lakers had it their way. If it was me and I was running the Lakers, I would just have them push. They're so much better open floor than they are slowed down. And Steve, real quick, the other night, forget about the 5 seconds that Harden dribbled out the clock to end the game. It's really the possession before, when Houston had ball out of a timeout and chance to get back within a number and dribbled it right out of bounds or passed it out of bounds, and LA went down the other end and made a couple free throws. So really the possession before ended that game for anybody who had a Houston ticket.
Yeah, Ski, I was definitely following that closely. I thoroughly agree. I was going to say the one before the Lakers took it that last time was the one that I was sweating the most. I was glad to see him just kind of dribble it out, although you never know. College ball, they would have hauled up a three from half court, and that would have been the do or die. I was so glad to see them act like professionals and just walk off the court and take the loss. Exactly. So Teddy and I could take the win with the Lakers. Ski, I said earlier, the odds makers of the betting market was pricing in a bounce back. It's the betting market because this line opened 5.5, which is exactly what Game 2 closed, and now it's 4.5. So I guess you could say the betting market is pricing in more so than the odds makers a Houston bounce back. You're our Laker insider, Ski. You live and die. You bleed purple and gold. What are your thoughts on this LA team? How do you feel going into Game 3?
I hope Tony Finn doesn't have Frank Vogel's number.
Frank Vogel hopes he doesn't have his number also.
Yeah, you're right. You're damn right he does.
I don't agree that you should blitz Westbrook. I mean, we want to play the Ludor strategy on Westbrook. We want him to shoot as much as you want. So, yeah, I like him to shoot as much as he wants. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as the Lakers, I think that the supporting guys are starting to step up. I mean, as much as I ripped Danny Green, I got to give him some credit. He made 3 3-pointers last game. Hopefully he keeps it going. I trust KCP to make 3-point shots. Morris is looking good. I trust the supporting cast to make shots. As far as who's going to score when LeBron and Anthony Davis is off the floor, for the most part, I feel like they've been staggering their minutes. They don't leave one of them out there for too long without, or leave both of them off the floor for too long if they do at all. So I think you can count on that. And last game they scored 60 points. I think that the matchup, favors LeBron. There's nobody who can really stop him. Ain't nobody who can stop Anthony Davis. So as long as you have one of them on the floor, I think you're okay. I think the Lakers, the more I think about it, can win by more than 5 in this game. But I think the total is a little bit low. I mean, how often do we see Rockets games this low? And Lakers, like Rob said, I think they're better when they play fast. It starts on the defensive end so you can get out and run. But I think the Lakers are better when they play fast and Rockets shoot a lot of threes. I think it can get over.
Yeah, and by the way, the total opened as high as 224. Teddy, I know you're not involved on this game, but what do you think? The money move's been at least a basket towards the under so far. The Lakers, once again, like we said, which Laker team shows up? I think back to that first game of the Portland series. It went under by, 40 points? And, these totals have been all over the place for the Lakers so far, Teddy.
Sure, and these round 2 games have been trending under. Across series, they've been trending under. And remember, when we first went into the bubble, the point totals were through the roof. The defense wasn't there, and everyone just saw, what do you have to do all day? You sit around and work on your jump shot. You shoot jumpers. As you get into these playoff series, we've seen all of a sudden, instead of a steady run of overs, now we're seeing a steady run of unders. I think the market's just reacting to that.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to say Houston's now gone under, 4 straight? They've gone under – no, I'm sorry. They went over in the last game, but they went under 4 before that. So, even the Rockets are playing some unders. Tony, any play against guys? Any other thoughts in this game?
Well, we talked about Rondo a little bit and how I think Rob was the one that talked about letting Rondo do whatever Rondo wants to do. I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on plus minuses, but Rondo was a plus 28 in this last game. And if Rondo's a plus 28, I don't care if you like plus or minus or not. If Rondo's plus 28, the Lakers are not going to just win. They're going to win big. And as far as what Ski said on the Westbrook deal, you want to let him shoot. That's fine. But if he scores 31 points, then you're not going to cover. So my point was make Westbrook frustrated. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe he's already there, and that's what the problem is. But The play on, I'm playing on Rondo. Believe it or not, I don't know. I don't have the.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up for you here.
Because he's the one who's going to handle the ball when LeBron's not in the game. And if the Lakers get a lead here, Rondo's going to contribute. He may not get to the foul line, but he'll find a way to contribute.
Yeah,
if
actually,
Westbrook has 31 points, he probably took 31 shots.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Ski. I was going to say the problem with Westbrook props is that he can play god-awful, kill the team, and still put up like 40. In fact, I'd like a correlated parlay with the more he scores, the less likely the Rockets are to win.
Well, he's averaged 31 points. 31. Listen, when they traded Capella, his 31. I don't know what his plus minus is on that trade, but he has to contribute points. He's got to if they're going to beat the Lakers.
So Tony Westbrook, 22.5 points is where he's been for several games now. 7.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 35.5. Rob is his combined for all three. He's a tricky guy to handicap, Rob, because like I said, him putting up a lot of points doesn't necessarily correlate to the Rockets winning or playing well.
Well, I'll say this, and this is going to make a couple of points here, guys. JaVale McGee plays 8 minutes last game because he got hurt, and Dwight Howard didn't play at all, which meant the Lakers went small with Anthony Davis as their center, and the Lakers played a much better game. They get to 117 points. If the Lakers play small and go quicker, that would lean toward Ski's emphasis on maybe this game getting over. However, if the Lakers go small, it allows Russell Westbrook to penetrate the lane a little better. The swatters, the guys that are going to, in fact, I remember Ski saying the guy that will deck him will be Dwight Howard. But even when McGee got hurt the other day, Dwight Howard didn't leave the bench. I don't know if he's still got a lingering injury or not. So Russell Westbrook's not going to back away from going to the rim. What he's got to do is get out of the idea. And in fact, it was said the other night again, Russell Westbrook launched a three, and whoever the commentator was said, previously Russell Westbrook would have taken that ball and gone straight to the rim. And he wasn't doing it the other night for whatever reason. He goes 4 of 15 from the floor. He's been stinking at the free throw line as well. He hasn't gotten there much, but he hasn't made them either. I just think if they're going to employ, and this is the Lakers, the idea that, let's go Davis as our center, that leads to more Laker points. That leads to Westbrook getting more aggressive towards the rim. And in that instance, I would be more apt to play Russell Westbrook over his numbers, whatever his personal number was that you just said, Steve. I forgot it already. But and I think to Ski's point about the total, it lends itself to this game going over. For whatever reason, on the NBA injury report out at 2:00, LeBron and Anthony Davis were listed with injuries, probable, but still with injuries. And then the questionable on McGee. Maybe Teddy's right that just because games have been trending under, they've bet this game under. But most of the time I find it's that injury list that forces people to bet whichever way they bet. And I just don't know what they see there. I'd be more inclined to go with Ski on over in this game.
Yeah, Nathan's reporting that it's actually a groin injury while he's on there. And then Beach Boss, you get the comment of the day so far. Westbrook wakes up and gets frustrated at his breakfast. I like that one. That's a pretty good one, Beach Boss. Ski, I know Rob was preaching to the choir there about Anthony Davis playing center. And when I grew up, most 7-footers played center. When Tony Finn grew up, you weren't allowed to cross half court. So I think the 7-footers they're actually allowed to camp under the basket when Tony grew up. But Ski, yeah. What are your thoughts of Anthony Davis here? LeBron, Anthony's at 30.5. LeBron's 28.5. That's pretty much where they've been for most games. Westbrook, again, is 22.5. That's where he's been. Haven't seen a lot of differences. Hey, we've run this whole game, guys, and no one has mentioned James Harden yet. That name has not come up during this 10-minute segment handicapping the game. Ski, isn't that something? I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And, my opinion on James Harden, the longer you go in a playoff series, the worse he gets. I have to give Tony Finn some credit, though, from something he said before the series started. And, I don't give Tony credit too often, so I'll make sure I do here. He said that
give him a
who's gonna put Rondo on his ass, and I said it would be Dwight Howard. And Dwight Howard hasn't even played a minute, I don't think so.
And
Tony Finn is on it.
But Ski, you're not wrong either because he hasn't had the opportunity to do it. So
I think that's what Tony was hinting at, though. But as far as the props, first off, I'll say I like Westbrook assists more than points. His assist was 5.5 at plus 109 last I saw. I think he drives in and gets other people the ball. And for the Lakers side, if I had to pick between LeBron and Anthony Davis, I'm picking Anthony Davis.
I agree. Yeah. So Tony, you want some? I think Teddy, Ski, and I are all on the Anthony Davis has more points than LeBron James, and we'll take a -2 on that if you want the other side.
I have a question. How did we do yesterday? How did we do? Listen, at halftime, Sweet Lou had no points. And I'm saying, what's going on? What? I did because I'm working, and I look up. What? Maybe that wasn't last night. How did we do that?
Well, Mid-Major Matt had a good tweet yesterday, and I couldn't remember which way we were going on that Nuggets score 50 or don't score 24. I was completely confused when that whole subject came up yesterday.
Did you read my reply?
No, I didn't see it.
I said all film, all tape of the NBA tip-off show must be destroyed in a Mission Impossible fashion.
It's on the World Wide Web. It'll never go away.
Blow it up. Again, I was wrong about that. I'm wrong 10 times already. It's at noon yet. We're getting close. I'll be wrong 10 times. I didn't do very well. But so what you're saying is I lost all my Starbucks yesterday?
I've stopped.
You got one.
I was going to say Ski definitely knows.
You guys know about this new the design. I'm redesigning my office, and you guys will see that the nice lawn out of the back window and such. When I get
kicked out of the post office,
when I get that done some year, then I have a place on the board where we keep. It's got Teddy, it's got Steve, it's got
the board, Rob.
Steve, we keep track of all the Sawbucks.
Is that the one that crashed on him last year before I was on board?
No.
Ski, were you on board for that one?
Yeah, I know Rob remembers the board that Tony's going to put up.
Were either of you on board for the naked pool guy walking in the background? All these memories came back. Joe Renardo was telling me about all these.
The naked pool guy was Prez. It was a Prez show. And I said, Prez, you're back in the 90s, 80s doing mushrooms because there's nobody here. I saw it too. I just didn't want to say anything.
So Tony, you give them an M show wager, and we'll see if there's any other takers. You got four of us. You throw something out that you like.
Okay, and here's my deal. I think that that Kuzma scores more points tonight than Westbrook. What kind of odds? I just want 2-1 odds. A mere 2-1. You guys should kill me on this.
I can't even find Kuzma on the board, so I don't even know what a fair price is for him. Westbrook 22.5.
I'll give you plus 150.
I'll do 2-1.
It's almost like here's a bar of gold. I just want a couple pennies for it. I'll give you 1 penny. Plus 175.
Now we got to do 2-1 because Sawbucks cannot be broken down to smaller amounts. So we got to either do even money or 2-1.
You know what?
I'll take Westbrook at 1-2.
You will?
I will.
Okay, and you know what I'm going to do? Because it's Teddy's birthday today, everybody. Everybody wish Teddy happy birthday. I'm going to take your 150. I'll take your plus 150.
Happy birthday.
Teddy's 29.
It's not my birthday. He's making that up.
Happy birthday.
It's the wrong month, guys.
Teddy.
Right. Literally, it's the wrong month. Okay, we're not
Damn it,
close.
Tony.
Tony's just saying nonsense. And if I ever hear any of you singing happy birthday to anybody again, I'm hanging up the call.
Oh, hey.
It's not my birthday.
I tell my wife this all the time, Teddy. I tell my wife, she says, well, that's not exactly how it happened. Well, the story's better. Let me tell it. It's Teddy's birthday.
Hey, you'll be right. You got a 1 in 365% chance of being right, and you were wrong. So Teddy wins one Sawbuck on that. Teddy knows his birthday was not today, so he's up 1-0 as we go into tonight. So you got to catch up now. So last chance, Ski, Rob, Teddy, throw something on the last 30 seconds here at Tony Finn.
I'm just thinking about the time when we were on this show and Tony's background just slowly fell down to the ground.
That was the board. That was the board incident I'd heard about. I want to get Rob giggling again. See, this is what we do. Rob laughing.
Man.
And only I had the close-up last week, Rob, when you were uncontrollably laughing
Oh,
about
my
the
God.
the
It's
Russian
always
middle.
Tony. It's always Tony. Oh, my God.
Breaking news. It's always Tony.
Service, you know.
So, Ski, what do you want? Give him one he'll get action on.
I'll take Dragic assist or Westbrook assist.
What? Are you going to give me Dragic?
I want Dragic over 4.5.
One
assists.
over, right? Okay.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, Dragic's over 4.5, and then do you want also Ski's taking over 4.5 with some actually over 5 for Westbrook? We'll say over 5 because that's what the true number is.
Austin Rivers under.
Can I ask a question? What's Gordon's points prop?
Gordon's been
point
great
prop.
in 2 games.
I'm actually not seeing it at DraftKings, surprisingly. Why do you guys think that might? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm seeing it offshore. 17.5 to the over, so 18. is the
Yeah,
true
he's
number.
had 23 and 24 the first two games, Steve, and he shot it well.
So it's
He's
18.
been-
Anybody want one side or the other on that? What do you want, Tony? The over 18?
Play the over, but I thought it was
I'll
going to be
take the
more.
under.
All right,
Okay.
Ski's got under 18 on Gordon points. Tony's got over 18. Ski's got over 4.5 assists for Dragic. Tony's got under. And then Ski's got over 5 assists for Westbrook. You want the under on that, Tony?
Tyson Mayweather. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I'll take the under.
Got you. All right, yeah, I'll take the under in the Tyson. If I don't even know what the line is yet on that. They both might collapse after the first round due to exhaustion. Hey, guys, great show. We'll be back tomorrow, as always, on Wednesday with more NBA tip-off at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Once again, free plays at WagerTalk and Sportsmemo, as always. And then our best bets, Teddy covers, Tony Finn, Rob Vino, Ski Profit, and myself, Steve Merrill. All of our best bets tonight at WagerTalk.com. Hey, back tomorrow Wednesday, as we are every weekday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on WagerTalk TV for more NBA tip-off. Good luck tonight.